Today, we're going to be going over something called the grand staff. So in my previous videos, we went over the notes of the treble clef, which is right here, and the notes on the spaces and the lines. We also went over the notes of the bass clef and its spaces and lines. Now today I want to explain how these two clefs work together for us to read music, and that is called the grand staff, title of this video. So I have here a few of the notes of the bass clef, and then a few of the notes of the treble clef. Now we have a very important note here in the middle, and if you can see, it is the note C. Now this is called middle C. The reason is it's because it's the joining note between the two clefs. Now let me draw a line to make so that makes more sense. So we could potentially draw a line straight through this right here. Now you can't even tell really. If you look right here, you can't even tell that I drew that line in. So middle C is exactly the middle of the treble clef and the bass clef, where they meet up. That's why it's called middle C. Now, as to why this note was specifically chosen, I'm not entirely sure. I think it probably has a lot to do with people's singing range. So the people who sing low, that tends to be their highest note. The people who sing high, that tends to be their lowest note. So it's kind of the middle, right in the middle of all of the notes. Now, we can recognize middle C because it is kind of looks like a little flying saucer, as you can see. So it usually looks like this. It's got a line through it. Now, this is kind of hard to read over here, right? I mean, yeah, you can tell that this is middle C because it's special. It has this little line through it. Looks like a little UFO. But it's kind of hard to read, right? Like, there's just so many lines. So what we've done, what musicians have done through the years, is we've generated more space. We've added more space in between the treble clef and the bass clef. And that way, it's easier to separate. You know, you can tell, okay, I know which space this B is on. I know which space, this F is on. It's less confusing than it was here, right? It's very confusing trying to count up the spaces to figure out that that's B. So here we've added more space. Now I think there's probably lots of reasons. One, it's definitely easier to read. And two, you could write in your lyrics. For if you're in a choir, this is where the lyrics tend to go, the words of the song. So I hope that makes sense. Oh, let me add one last thing. You could have middle C written right here. And then we can attach that there. A C, but written from the treble clef. Now, this is the exact same note, the same pitch. You'd hear the same thing. But this one is coming up from the bass clef, and this one is coming down, from the treble clef. But remember, it's the same note. It's the exact same note. We've just separated it here, so it's easier to read.